Disclaimer first. While the meeting is open to the public and public comments are welcome, in light of concerns related to the spread of coronavirus disease, COVID-19, the meeting will be streaming live online, and the village strongly encourages residents and participants to submit written comments to the village clerk prior to the meeting. Persons will be allowed to make in-person comments if they desire to. However, individuals will be brought into the meeting room one at a time.
Oh, you can hear us?
And, excuse me, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Will be brought into the meeting room one at a time, and all federal, state, and local protocols currently in place to alleviate the spread of COVID-19, including social distancing requirements, will be observed. At this time, Mayor, I have not received any email requests to do public comments in the clerk's email, and I do understand that we have public comments in person at Village Chambers. Is that correct?
Yes. Do any member from the public have a public comment? Any member of the public have a public comment at this time? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and tell us your name.
Loud so we can hear you. We're on Zoom recording live. If you can come up to like right here in the middle, keep social distancing and speak so the mayor can hear you, because her mic will pick you up. Thank you.
We're taking a 14th down the street. And I think the people there were 13. They've been there a little while, and they own a lot of tow trucks. And a guy apparently didn't have nowhere to put them. So he's been putting them in that street. They've been putting them, they had a long bag truck also. I want to know if they're legally doing that, because they put it out and it's making it dangerous, especially when it's snowing and everything. Because when they have all those trucks, they just sit them on sometimes on both sides of the street. And I bag in, but still sometimes it's difficult to see how to come out. I was wondering, there's something new in Broadview, because I've been here since Mayor Rogers was here. You know how long I've been here. I saw these trucks before.
What's your address, ma'am?
2408 South 22nd Avenue.
And that's on, and the tow trucks is on 22nd Avenue?
Yes, that's where they get across the street from me.
Okay. If you don't mind giving the clerk your name and phone number, and then we'll follow up tomorrow with you. Okay? Uh-huh.
They've been doing better. Saturday they wasn't, but today I didn't see anybody.
Okay, let us get control of that and see what's going on.
What's your phone number? No, what's your address? Let me also your phone number. Yep. Okay. Come on back here with me. Yeah, we're going to continue the meeting now.
Okay. All right. Any other members of the public have a comment? Okay. Tell me your name, sir. Okay. Okay.
And your address, please.
2409 South 22nd Avenue. Right in front of her house, but next door to the
Okay, please continue to address that.
So here's the thing. I don't know really about today, like you said, it was kind of more peaceful today. But you know, you got I talked to the guy about it. You know, apparently he has a tow truck company.
Okay.
But he got tow trucks parking in front. And look, I didn't move over there to have tow trucks towing cars in front of my house and then dropping them off and then picking them up and towing them away. We got all that going on. You know, they seem like pretty nice people, you know, but the thing they're doing is just not comfortable to the community.
So I'm glad that you brought that to our attention, because if you guys don't say anything, we don't know. So we will have that discussion with the building department and the police department and look at our ordinance that's on record on how we address that issue to resolve it. So let us do that work and give the clerk your name and address, and then we'll be able to follow up with you so that you know what's taking place and you're not getting it through a third party, but you're actually getting it from the representation of the village. So thank you for bringing that concern to my attention. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. So we don't have any other members from the public. What I am going to do, because I think what's next on the agenda is, after communications from the clerk's office, the swearing in of Sergeant Clayton. And it's a lot of his family member that's on the Zoom call. So I'm going to ask all of you all to please put your phone or laptops or iPads on mute. If we continue to get the feedback, we will disconnect you from the meeting. But we asking you all to do that to be in compliance so that we can hear and most certainly celebrate Sergeant Clayton at this time. So we're just waiting on the clerk now. And Trustee Horn asked if we could repeat the comments. The comments were about a tow truck with multiple tows on a residential street. And that was both comments that was made.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm back.
Okay, thank you. So we're on communications.
All right, here we go. Item 3, communications. I have none at this time. Mayor, am I missing anything that you know of?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, and after communications, we have the swearing in of Sergeant Richmond Clayton, and I will make myself my way into the chambers to get that completed. One sec.
So those that's in the audience, if they want to come in at this time, the social distance, they can social distance based off that if they want to come and be a part of the swearing in. I know Chief Wagner is going to do something fancy with his iPad so that you guys can actually see it. I don't know what that looked like, but I will turn my laptop around so that you guys are able to see the swearing in of Sergeant Clayton. Wait, can y'all look in here and see if y'all can see it? Okay.
It's going to be a little spotty, but can everyone see me and hear me? Okay. Sergeant Clayton, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Richmond Clayton.
I, Richmond Clayton,
Having been appointed to the office of Sergeant
having been appointed to the office of Sergeant
in the village of Broadview,
in the village of Broadview,
County of Cook,
County of Cook,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the Broadview Police Department
of the Broadview Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Sergeant. Thank you.
There's all family there.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Congratulations. Okay, Mayor.
Okay,
All right, moving along to item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the February 16th, 2021 regular board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by trustee Senior, seconded by trustee Miller. Madam President.
trustee Horn,
I have no question.
trustee Jones is absent, trustee Tierney,
I have no questions, Mayor.
trustee Senior,
No questions.
trustee Abraham,
No questions.
trustee Miller.
No questions.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Horn,
Yes.
trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Senior,
Yes.
trustee Abraham,
Yes.
trustee Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor, this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next item 5, consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $443,497.89.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And properly motioned by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Smith. Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Horn,
No question.
trustee Jones is absent, trustee Tierney,
I have no comment, Mayor.
trustee Senior,
No comment.
trustee Abraham.
No comment. Do you want me to read the warrant list yet?
Yes, I do. Hold on a second. Trustee Miller,
Yeah, don't we normally comment after the warrant list is read?
we do. Trustee
I'll-
Miller,
I'll wait.
okay, thank you. Finance Chairwoman, trustee Abraham, will you please read the warrant list?
Yes, Madam Mayor. This is the AP warrant list for 2/25/21 revised. We have BNF Construction Code Services Incorporated, $9,140. Blackboard Incorporated, $4,664.63. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $158,274.37. Broadview Westchester Joint Water Agency, $191,298.36. Cargill Inc., $16,234.89. Grandview Capital LLC, $2,500. Lincoln National Life Insurance Company, $7,363.64. Legacy Fire Apparatus, $5,604.55. Montana and Welch LLC, $2,580.50. National Hose Testing Specialties, Inc., $3,349.50. Rodell and Monet Malin, Iowa, and I apologize if I mispronounced it, but it's for $2,500. TNT Towing and Recovery Incorporated, $9,675. Our total expenditures over 2,500 is $413,185.44. Our total expenditures is $443,497.89. Percentage of totals 93%. For the funds, to that, the general fund, $249,190.03. Roosevelt Road TIF Fund, $398. 17th Avenue TIF North, $2,611.50. Water and Sewage Fund, $191,298.36. The grand total is $443,497.89. That is the end of my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Miller, you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. For on one of the line items, it says something about I think like a blood spill or something of that nature. What was that for?
Who's the vendor? Let me go get the bills.
Trustee Miller, what, do you remember the vendor?
The vendor is ServPro.
ServPro?
No,
That's one. while we're at it, I can just run off my couple.
Oh, I see what you're asking about. The Serve Pro of LaGrange, the blood cleanup.
Yes,
Okay, she can give the details on that
yeah,
one.
I figured as much. The Kanoko Monoto services for copies. Do we pay for copies separate from the copy machine?
It depends on if we, the contract is we do pay for copies once we probably go over that threshold. I would have to look at the contract.
Okay, so that was my next question. If we went over the threshold, what would we be making copies of at this point, since none of us are getting a printed agenda? So I wanted to know like how far over we were. Windstream, I know that we just entered into a contract with Xfinity / Comcast or whatever. Is Windstream just for the, is that for the service for the emergency side of the house, or are we gonna attempt to convert them over to? Because I didn't think Windstream was, but I could be wrong. And that's it.
So with that, with the Windstream, we still working out the, they just started adding the fiberware for the Comcast. So until we finally migrate through getting all of the things that we need in place, we won't shut down Windstream until we have the transfer completely completed with Comcast. Because if we do, we won't have phone service or internet service.
So how much longer are we expecting that to happen before the transfer?
They just started the fiberware last week.
Okay, cool, thanks.
So I don't know how long that process takes, but they just started. If you come by the village and you see the markings from Julie, you'll see that they've been out here, you know, doing all of that stuff. And so I'm trying.
I wouldn't know what that means from any other marking. So as long as you guys are saying it, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And so Serve Pro, this was in the Broadview Police Department in the booking department. So something, they must have had a blood cleanup in the police department.
Okay. And my other one was about, you answered about the copies.
Okay, that's it?
That's it, thank you.
All right, this is just a reminder that the bills are available to all of the trustees on the Tuesday before the board meeting to come and review all invoices. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yeah, Madam President, this is to pay the bills. Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
So when we make the comments about stuff being available for us, just for clarity, I'm gonna always ask my questions during the public forum for the meeting, because just like we know this available to us, it might be a resident that has the same question because it's not available to them. Yes, I vote to pay the bills.
And this
Thank you,
carries
Trustee
5-0
Miller.
to pay the bills, Madam President. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item 6, old business. And these two will table from the last meeting. Item A resolution authorizing and approving an agreement between the TGI Communications, Inc. and the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Senior. Madam President.
Thank you. So at the last board meeting, this item was tabled because the trustee requested more information. So Trustee Horn, you have any questions? The information was submitted to all of the trustees.
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
No questions.
Trustee Senior?
No questions.
Trustee Abraham?
No questions.
Trustee Miller?
No questions. Thanks for providing the information.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Andrea, for providing the information for the Board of Trustees.
You are very welcome. Happy to do so.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You as well.
Okay. Item E, a resolution authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Broadview and the Cook County and the County of Cook regarding the grant of transportation funds through the Invest in Cook program for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by trustee Abraham. Madam President.
Chris or Matt, you guys want to talk about this? It was tabled at the last meeting.
Sure, I can talk about it. This is Chris. Good evening, everybody.
Good
evening, Chris. This was a grant that the village was awarded last year through Invest in Cook through Cook County. It is for cost assistance on the Braga Drive project. There's no requirements of the village, no cost requirements of the village. It's just a grant for $158,585. It was awarded to the village based on transit requirements of the project and an ability to increase freight through Cook County. So it was good news for the village.
Okay, do we have the dollar amount that's included with this? What the village is responsible for and the amount of the grant?
So this is for Braga Drive, stage 2, which has a total cost of approximately $3 million, 80% of which is being funded through the federal STP grants. And the village has approximately, I honestly don't know the number off the top of my head, but let's just say somewhere along the lines of $800,000 of village funds that are going to that. So this is approximately 15% of that.
Okay.
So there was no match with this grant. This grant went to help the village with their match portion of the STP grant.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Horn?
Yeah, quick question, Mr. Baker, Director Hood, or Director Hicks, do we know if this grant has any association with Algie Ronan and is lobbying on behalf of the village?
I can answer that. No, it don't. This was this project was started way before we became on this board. So it's a process. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
I have no comments, Mayor.
Trustee Senior?
No comments.
Trustee Abraham?
No comments.
Trustee Miller?
For the breakdown of how much is the village's portion, is there a way that we can get that? Because the information in this funding breakdown for Exhibit A says $4.2 million as the estimated cost, with the county share only being the $158,000. And I know that the engineering firm said that, basically it's still under the process of going through, and our cut or our percentage that we should be paying is a whole lot less and brings us down to $800,000. So of the $800,000, $158,000 applies to that. But without digging through 1,000 different emails, can we just get a breakdown total of what has already been awarded, what we're expecting or what we're looking at to come back, and then the actual cost of the project? Because $3 million is totally different from $4 million. So
if I may, the $4 million, the $4.2 million includes Braga Stage 1. Braga Stage 1 has already been completed. That's what was done, not last year, but the year prior to it, from 25th Avenue to Parks. So the way that the grant was put together, it's a 2-stage process, the construction of Braga. The grant was put together showing that entire process, but now we're in stage 2. I could provide all this background information, but the fact is that the STP funding has already been kind of approved, and any portion that the village is responsible for has been approved. This is just to receive $158,000 of money in addition to anything that we've already approved.
I understand that, but when you say that it's already been approved and then to still include it in on the agenda as part of the discussion, I still would like to see the total breakdown. So if you can get that, that's great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can we get thank you, Trustee Miller. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
And Madam President, this carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next item 7, new business. Item A resolution approving the 2021 Community Development Block Grant application.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
And properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President.
Thank you. Chris or Director Ames, you want to talk about the CDBG application?
Sure. So this is an application, it's a new application for the construction costs for two alleys. It's the alley between 17th and 16th, north of Roosevelt, and then the alley between 19th and 20th, north of Fillmore. These alleys would be constructed with concrete and brick pavers down the center, similar to the other alleys to the Gold Coast. The village is requesting $389,070, which is the full cost, 100% of the construction cost. It's through the CDBG block grants for Cook County is where the application is through.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Same question. Do we know if this have any association with algae run?
No, it do not. No, it do not.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Thank you. Trustee Senior?
No questions.
Trustee Abraham?
No questions.
Trustee Miller?
No questions.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 5-0. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Next, item 8, application for the authority to expend funds. We have none. Bringing us to item 9, presentations. First up, we have a presentation from Public Works Director Matthew Ames. Mr. Ames?
Thank you. I had asked both department heads, Director Ames and Commissioner Upshaw, to do a presentation on some misinformation that's out in the community, and we just want to have clarity at the village and educate the community on what's been taking place as it relates to the snow removal, the senior housing, and those types of things, so that you get the facts and the correct information that of information that's just spewing the community and causing all kind of chaos and confusion. So Director Ames, can you take the lead, please?
I can, Mayor. Can I be heard okay? I'm out. Heard okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, aside from our normal monthly reports, I do know that there has been some misinformation put out. And I would like to, if nothing else, clear up some things as it relates to the senior snow removal program, the prohibited acts as defined in 8-2-8, and also what we do in attempting to assist in the snow removal on the sidewalks. So Public Works authored and operated the senior snow removal program since 2011. The purpose was simply to assist an aging population who didn't have anyone in the household that was capable of removing the snow. In 2015, this list grew largely because of a divide in the hostile board that wanted to politicize this program. And many seniors who did not qualify was added. And at the time, we continued to service the entire list until 2017. That was until Mayor Thompson required an application and review process that removed a significant number of unqualified households. And this annual process has improved our ability to focus on the seniors that do qualify and that genuinely needs the help. So when we rolled this thing out, I wrote it out under Mayor Jones' administration. And I wrote it out because I was inspired to help the seniors in the neighborhoods that had helped raise me, who children, sons and daughters that I grew up with, I knew that they had moved away from the area. That was the motivation behind starting this thing. And it actually turned out to be, I thought, a beneficial program considering our aging population and the fact that, we had quite a few at the time households that were in foreclosure, abandoned, and some other things that was going on that really made it difficult for pedestrian traffic, foot traffic to navigate to the bus routes that are now prevalent along Roosevelt Road and Cermak Road that, is part of the transportation hub here in the Chicago metropolitan area. So in assisting the seniors over the years, annually what we found is that the situations change. So we have seniors that are expiring on an annual basis. We have seniors that are being moved out of their home by family members into assisted living facilities. And in some cases, they're taking them in themselves. So that list in the application process does need to be had annually for just that purpose. And also we had found that there were quite a few seniors, once again, that was abusing the program. So if you've got, 14 or 15-year-old grandchild living in the house, they're most certainly capable of removing the snow. Hence, you don't qualify. You have an able body in the household. So, and this is a program that we rolled out that we didn't charge the seniors. I took it under the Public Works budget, and we enlisted some local contractors, landscapers to help us with that list. We negotiated a minimal fee with them to assist us, and the program has been working. Like I said, it appears better each year. This year, we've had record snowfalls and some other things that's made it kind of difficult to keep up, not only with the senior snow removal, but also with the snow removal in the streets and on the sidewalks. So I did run into some Park District employees that was removing snow from seniors' driveways. And the attempt to assist is welcome. It is really something that we should all be trying to be in collaboration with one another in helping the seniors and those that need our help. However, what we need is to make sure that we have controls in place. So each taxing body, for whatever reason, it's the time of the year that everybody wants to help for whatever reason, cannot willy-nilly go out and provide a service in detriment to the village ordinance and our procedures. So I stopped one of the crews that was removing snow and I actually admire a few of the workers there at the park. I think that they're honest, hardworking individuals. And unfortunately, I think maybe they get caught up in wanting to do the right thing, but being directed in the wrong way. So when I observe the crew removing the snow and pushing it back out to the streets, which is a prohibited act, I asked that they stop or cease and desist doing that. And one of the workers apologized, didn't know that it was against the ordinance. But I also pointed out to him that over the years, I've transitioned all of our plow and snow removal plows to rubber or plastic blades. And I do that for a reason. I do that to maintain and extend the life of our asphalt pavements. And I don't operate metal blades anywhere in the village of Broadview. And I don't expect any metal blades to be put down on any of our streets for any reason. So pointing that out to him, he did recognize that he had the wrong blade on it. And there was no further issues with the crew in terms of just letting them know that their help is welcomed. However, we needed to coordinate and work this out a little bit better. So I want to move on to the trackless snow removal that was purchased for the purpose of helping our stakeholders remove snow off the sidewalks. My motivation with purchasing that several years ago was because I witnessed special needs and folks in wheelchairs trying to navigate east and west to either Roosevelt Road to get to a bus stop or Cermak Road. And in certain cases, they were in the middle of the street trying to get to those collector routes. So we investigated and purchased a Trackless to assist, once again, those stakeholders, whether you're on the residential or commercial corridor. So, and I want to clear up our work on the commercial corridors, state routes. So we have 4 state routes that run through the village of Broadview: 25th Avenue, Cermak Road, 17th Avenue, and Roosevelt Road. And those roads are plowed by state plow trucks. And those sidewalks are impassable after those plow trucks come through. So what we do is we know that that's the majority of our pedestrian traffic, individuals trying to make it back and forth to the various bus stops and to the malls and some other points of that are major, should I say, points for individuals that might be walking. So we do our best to try and maintain or stay on top of the snowfall that might occur on those sidewalks. And as anybody that's been alive for the last 60 days know that these snow events that we've had, the end of January and through February has been record events in some occasions. So we were not able to assist our residential sidewalks in a manner that we've done in the past and that we have hoped to, for a few reasons. But again, explaining the record snowfalls, but I also have a limited staff. I've got 8 plow trucks. I've got 176 lane miles and I believe several miles of alleys that we've got to plow and maintain. And our order is real simple. We open up the thoroughfares, the streets and the alleys mainly so that folks can park their cars into the garage and get off of the street for the 2-inch snow ban that is in effect. We do not tow vehicles until 2 a.m. in the morning, when the no parking is enforced from 2 to 5 a.m., even though you may be in breach of the ban for the parking, 2-inch snowfall total. I don't start asking our police to assist us with ticket and tolls until 2 or 5 in the morning, when I know that the police have been instructed not to allow any overnight parking. So no vehicles should be on the street at that time. And any vehicles that have been towed at that time was at my direction. And as I'm out at all hours of the day and the nights with these individuals trying to make sure that the thoroughways and the alleys are open so that folks can get in and out relatively easy, our work is not yet done. So we have to, what we say, cut, meaning that we have to plow until one side of the street curb is shown to the other side of the street's curb. Okay, so that completes that cycle for opening up the streets, and then we're able to address all of the other issues that might be prevalent, like snow on the sidewalk. So I believe it was reported that Public Works was removing snow on Roosevelt Road and private parking lots and things of that nature. Not true. We do remove snow on Roosevelt Road. Our municipal lots are on Roosevelt Road. Our public-private partnership lots are on Roosevelt Roads, those that are being utilized now. So with all of the significant snowfall, any operations that was witnessed on any of our municipal lots or anywhere on Roosevelt Road was to remove the excess snow that had hindered either A, the entry for vehicles, or B, the intersections for safe pedestrian passage. And the fortunate thing was we were able to do the north side of the street and transition over to the south side and get a couple blocks in before our department was hit with a COVID outbreak. So as of today, we have 4 people on staff, including myself, and the rest of the department is quarantining. So while this is not necessarily generally known to the public, I want to put it out there because there are some variables that makes it dynamic, a moving piece. So it's never the same. No snow event is ever the same. Okay. So it is a moving piece. And you couple that with the fact that you have, like I said, a pandemic, and our department just happened to fall prey to it. There are some things that was left open that I wanted to get cleared up. Like, for instance, the rest of the intersections on Roosevelt Road that I know the individuals who will be getting off of the bus will need some place to land and safely cross the street if necessary. So, municipal lots, Roosevelt Road, prohibited acts. To put snow back into the street. And I heard that the conversation was about intent of a rule that was passed back in, I believe, 1987. And I have a hard time following intent for legislation that was recently passed. I do know this, that it is a prohibited act to put snow back out into the streets. And it was a frustration, even during the Jones administration, that we were utilizing or expending more salt than necessary. So we come through, we plow the streets, we'd salt, and we'd have wet pavement, which is all we're required to have to make sure that the streets are safe to navigate. And the residents, many of them would snow blow from the driveways or the sidewalks to snow back out to the street. And once again, this is one of those situations where I could ask the building department and code enforcement to go write a ton of tickets. But really that would kind of be counterproductive, at least for that time and most certainly my energy. So what we do is when you put it back in the street, we will continue to plow and de-ice until our pavements are safe to navigate. Yeah, as far as intent, I believe the intent was to make sure that the streets maintain its safe navigations. So, Mayor, I think for the most part, I've tried to cover some of the things that was put out by way of misinformation. If there's anything that I missed, I'm more than willing to entertain any questions or comments.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
Yes, thanks for that information. I think that was really good information. I know I made a comment because I heard about the snow going into the street, and I had simply made the comment that if you put snow in the street and it was done in error, simply remove it. I don't understand why things had to get so tense and convoluted. But one thing was said, and I'm curious, did the village make an attempt to find the park district, or is that misinformation also?
I'm sorry. Wait, say that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna address
I
that.
said, did the village make an attempt or threaten the park district with fines, or was that misinformation also?
That was misinformation. Misinformation. Without a doubt. I know that the conversations that I had with the workers, they've got some genuinely good, hard-working men that as a taxpayer, I appreciate them. As a department head, I respect them. But no threats of tickets or anything to that manner was ever levied at anyone that I spoke with.
Okay. Well, Mayor Thompson, did any threats or anything related to fines come from your side of it? Because that was communicated, and it caught my attention when I heard it.
So let me just say this. I spoke with Director Davis on Wednesday, February 17th, about 12:15 that afternoon. I followed up with an email to Director Davis and the board president, Reginald Osborne. And I sent it to Director Ames and Commissioner Upshaw as well, so they know what was taking place. And I'm gonna read the email that I sent to Director Davis. And this is the email that I sent. Good afternoon. Per our conversation, Director Davis, this is a follow-up email. Your team is removing snow from certain members of the community. It has been brought to my attention that the Park District staff is plowing snow from private property into the streets, which is a prohibited act of the Village Ordinance Chapter 2, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Ways 8-2-8. Please instruct your staff to follow the rules of the Village Ordinance. I encourage you to become familiar with the Village Ordinance and follow the rules. Thank you. That was the email that was sent to Director Davis. No threats at all.
Well, that's enough there for me. I mean, I did hear that, and it caught my attention when I heard it. When I got involved, I'll tell you as a trustee, when I got involved in the conversation, my attitude was and is, if you guys are doing something wrong and putting snow in the street, simply remove it. But helping the residents and doing anything possible to help the residents and people in need, I don't see why that would be an issue. And considering how Matthew Ames, you communicated in a very diplomatic way, I don't see why that would be an issue for anybody if they heard a conversation in that manner and in that tone of voice, why a solution couldn't be given or come from it. So I'll leave that at, I'll leave it at that. That's just my opinion, but I just simply heard the same information and it did catch my attention. But thank you for clearing it up.
Thank you. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
No, I have no comment.
Trustee Senior? Trustee Senior? Okay, Trustee Abraham?
I'm sorry, my phone
there
was
she
on
go.
mute. I'm
Okay.
sorry, my phone was on mute. I just wanted to say that Public Works is out there doing a phenomenal job because we did get slammed with a lot of snow that this winter. And I see them out there trying to clear out the walkways and all, keep the snow from off the streets so that it'll be safe for the residents to get through the streets. So I just want to say that they're doing a great job. And I'm glad that with everything that has been said, mishaps or whatever, that sometimes you have to educate the residents and let them know the true deal of how the operation works. And they're doing a great job. So thank him for the education.
Thank you, Trustee.
Good, doing a good job.
Trustee, is that it, Trustee Senior?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Abraham?
I want to thank Mr. Ames for coming on and explaining that side, what the Public Works procedures and policies are and how they work with the other taxing bodies here, that obviously whatever it was just a mistake, so at least it's been cleared up and everybody can kind of get along here, because with this snowfall, it hasn't been like this in a few years. So again, thank you, Mr. Ames and your department for doing what they're doing. That's all I have to say, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee.
Trustee Miller?
Director Ames, I appreciate you giving us an update. I'm gonna tell you that I literally was falling asleep. So I was like, dang, could he speed it up just a little bit? But I understand the impact that it has on the community. My concern is when we're dealing with counterparts within the government form of things, sometimes it probably does come off a little harsh, when it's in the act. Like if I was in the act of plowing snow and right now I'm like, ooh, I'm trying to plow the snow, and you're like, this is not the process. Sometimes I appreciate the fact that I have seen you like grow over the last 10 years with how you communicate. And I'm a witness to actually seeing you speak to people. And I know that, you know, sometimes we don't see that the cooler head has happened, and we take stuff from previous experience and use that as, this is what I think he meant, or this is what that person probably meant. Because it happens to me. People say, oh, she's normally harsh, or she's this. And I'm like, no, I'm direct. And I don't have time to reorganize something that's already organized or a process that's already in place. I would suggest for the next winter, because hopefully we're out of this and we're about to be in spring. I would suggest maybe before we get to the next winter, just to send out a reminder, maybe in a newsletter. I don't know how many people still read it, but apparently we go to Facebook a lot. So to send out a reminder, maybe on the Public Works page or the Village page, just you know, some do's and don'ts for residents as well as community partners, so we'll kind of know what happens and how it impacts other entities. That would be my suggestion there. And just keep doing what you guys are doing. I know that a lot of times we don't give kudos. We always just push you guys to work and not say anything. But like, I actually hear the snow plows and I actually jump up in the middle of the night like, dang, it's 3 a.m. What? Oh, okay, that's them. So I know you guys are out working. I appreciate that. And I think all the residents, once everything calms down, I think we'll all see that and realize that. And, you know, we say record breaking and record numbers, and I'm sitting here like, I know a couple years it was a whole lot harsher. So sometimes in the minute, yeah, it does seem really, really overpowering, but you guys did a great job. Hopefully you don't have to get out there and do any more snow plowing. And I hope all your employees actually can overcome COVID and get over that. Because, you know, I went through the whole process with, you know, myself personally and dealing with it. And it could be a bit much if you haven't faced that. So hopefully they can get over it and get back healthy and get back out here, because it's about to be spring. So we're going to need their help still. So, but I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, thank you, trustee. So before I bring up Commissioner Upshaw, I just want to say, with the lies that the Park District put on social media with Spurt is out of control. I would just hope that the trustees will be professional enough to either call me or the department heads to get the information to be factual before you get out there in a situation that's not the truth. And we did have a conversation, and we like working with our other taxing bodies so that it brings wholesome to Broadview. We are a strong community when we work together. And we've had a good relationship with the park, but until certain entities got into place, it just went one side to the other side. And we got to continue to move forward, but we need to move forward in the facts and in the truth. And we did, in due diligence, contact the leadership at the Park District to eliminate all of that so they wouldn't get out of control. We appreciate the Park District extending the help to remove snow for the seniors. That's important because guess what? Since from 2011, this was the next biggest snowfall that we received. So it's been about 10 years since the community experienced that component of the heavy fall. And so, you know, when we get into situations like this, we have to be mindful that we have 8 employees on staff trying to take care of our entire community to provide the best service that we have. And some of these guys worked more hours, 16 to 18 hours in any given shift. So they had to rest, they not even go home. They had to rest at Public Works to recoup, to get themselves together, to get back, to continue to plow. So my intentions is to have, you know, all hands on deck when we have situations like this, but not spew the lies and where it get out of control. And as Trustee Miller said, the comments that's being made on Facebook, we need to be professionals as elected officials to make sure we have all the facts before we start speaking to something that's not the truth. So I'm going to ask Commissioner Upshaw to address some of the concerns that came up in the building department. So Commissioner Upshaw?
Oh, Mayor Thompson, can I make a comment?
After Commissioner Upshaw. We getting through the meeting. Thank you, Trustee Horn.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes. I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Trustee Miller, I'll try to be as quick as possible. I think we all are aware the Village of Broadview has a different governing bodies within the Village of Broadview, like the Lindop School District, the Library School District, the Park District. We got our own operating budgets, and we are responsible for managing the day-to-day operations. We welcome the collaborative effort with the Park District or any governing any other governing bodies in the village of Broadview. My concern as it relates to the snow removal when I saw the video was that I was seeing park district vehicles, park district tools, and park district employees working on private property. That creates a liability issue. If you hit someone's house, you hit their fence, if you crack their driveway, which now the snow is being removed, that is what my issue was. It was a liability issue. And if you're not working on park district property or at a park district facility, are you authorized to do that? So it was basically a liability issue. And if they were acting as contractors, then they need to be licensed, bonded, insured in the village of Broadview. So that was my only concern when I did see the video, but I do appreciate the effort. I do appreciate the intent, and going forward, hopefully we can collaborate with the park district and other governing bodies when we have
Commissioner Upshaw, hold on one second. Someone got a lot of noise in the background. Can you mute your mute your Zoom so that the recording is getting the person speaking? Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Upshaw.
So the last thing I just said is we want to collaborate with every governing body, and hopefully going forward, we'll be able to do so. There was a question, a resident asked me, as it relates to the snowfall, as a matter of fact, the magnitude. The reason why it was such almost a catastrophic event is because it snowed like every day, which has never happened in a short period of time. And I know that the mayor's office, the building department, we received several calls from residents who wanted their snow removed. And they asked my department, did we have a list of contractors? And the answer to that question is yes, we have a list of contractors. Per our village code, every contractor has to be licensed, bonded, and insured. The mayor contacted me because her office was getting the same calls. I contacted Public Works to share the list with them. I also contacted the contractors and told them to make sure that their license, bond, insurance, in other words, they were registered in the village of Broadview. The mayor made a suggestion, which I thought was excellent, to get their fee structure for snow removal. So the residents would know in advance that if they selected one of these contractors that's not associated with the village of Broadview, they're just a registered contractor in the village of Broadview, that they would know what their fee structure would be in advance to hiring them to provide that service. That information went out, and what was required, and only one contractor came back and was properly registered for 2021. So therefore, when residents call the building department, and I shared this information with Public Works as well as the mayor's office, this was the only contractor at the time that was licensed, bonded, and insured and registered in the village of Broadview and had their fee schedule. So it could be presented to the residents so they would have a choice and they could make the decision whether to use them or not. So that's how we got to one contractor. The other contractors never submitted anything. And as to this day, I think there's one or two that have submitted their information after the event. So they are registered now, but they were not registered during the event. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the 50-50 program. The 50-50 cross flood control program was a program that the village of Broadview provided to residents to offset some of the expense of putting in a backflow device in your basement. I think 2010 or 11 or 12, somewhere in there, when we had that major flood, that catastrophic flood, it was just horrible. And at that time, the leadership was trying to consider how could we help our residents. And so we came up with the 50-50 flood control program. And it was designed to offset some of the cost for the residents who are putting in backflow devices. It's a maximum up to $2,500. On average, residents were spending anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for the backflow. For this fiscal year, we had $50,000 in the budget. We used $49,572.50, and that was a total of 21 people. That was the information that I received from the budget director. So we're pretty much at, we're pretty much at our budget. Our upcoming fiscal year, we will have the same conversations, and hopefully based on our conversations and planning, we will have that in our upcoming next fiscal year budget as well. But I want to reiterate, it was budgeted, it was $50,000, and as of to date, we've used $49,572.50. I've also received questions about the Park District and the basketball courts and any projects that the Park District were working on. The Village of Broadview has a process when it comes to projects. The first step in the process, normally, that when you have any type of major project, whether it be a governing body or a resident or a business, is that we set up a safety committee meeting. The safety committee meeting may consist of council if needed, but it's our engineer, our fire department, police department, building department, public works, as well as our zoning experts. And at that time, you are able to present your project, and we tell you what you need in terms of permitting, if there's a variance, if there's a zoning issue, and how you need to proceed going forward, the exact steps. As it relates to the basketball courts at the Park District, I've had several meetings with Director Davis. For some reason, we just don't get along. I don't know what it is. And so the mayor interjected, and we had a meeting collectively. And I explained the process to the Park District that any project that you are working on, the first step is to call my department and schedule a safety meeting. Matter of fact, Mr. Davis can call me and schedule a safety committee meeting, and we can get that scheduled and move forward. That did not happen. And so the question was, I think that someone, Mayor, I think, the permits. I don't know what the permits cost was, but we did charge for permits. We did not charge the Park District. We charged the contractors, because I never met with the Park District. I met with the contractors as well as my staff. So if a contractor comes up to the village and they are not identifying themselves or saying specifically that they're working with the library, the Park District, or the school district, and they want permits, they want contractor registrations, that's what they're going to get. So did we charge for permits? Absolutely. We charged the contractors. No one from the Park District came up to get a permit. It was the contractors. And after that, I'm not aware of Director Davis asking for any consideration or anything else. Of course, they would get some consideration because they're a governing body within the Village of Broadview, but you have to ask for it. It's not automatically given, and my staff doesn't know who comes up to the window. They're just a resident or a contractor or someone that's trying to get a permit. So as it relates to the Park District, I encourage Director Davis or anyone on that board that if they have a project, any future projects, any current projects, that they would follow the village process, which is contact me and set up a safety committee meeting to go through the project, and we can address any issues or concerns that they may have at that time. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the senior housing project. The senior housing project has been talked about for years. Back when Mayor Henry Vicenic was in office, as well as two and a half terms ago with Mayor Sherman Jones. Back in 2000, currently now Trustee Sherman Jones, back in 2014, we started having discussions as to the needs of the community. The community had expressed that they wanted a senior living facility or a veterans facility or a combination of both. And in our initial conversation with, at that time, Mayor Jones, was what would you like to see? And we talked about retail on the bottom, and residential units above. So in 2014, we started that process, and what we did is we contacted a nonprofit company, which was the New Direction Housing Corporation. And we started, that's a nonprofit, to talk about the type of services that they would be able to provide to the senior residents, as well as we contact WJW architects, which are the same architects that are working on our senior housing project today. And back then, there were only two things that were done, that we did appraisals on the prospective properties the sites that we were looking to have the project done, as well as we did surveys of the community. Now, that being said, I am not aware of any application that was submitted to the state of Illinois. I am not aware of any application that was submitted to Cook County, regardless of who the governor was or who was in office. And this process, in hindsight, it was going to take at least 1 to 2 years just to create the documents, because it's a very extensive process. So if we started in 2014, it would have been 2016 or 2017 that we would have submitted the information. And I have the documents here in front of me from 2016 and 2017 of all of the municipalities that submitted applications that either were accepted or rejected or did not score properly, did not make a high score. And the village of Broadview is not on there. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. Fast forward to 2017, we have a new administration, Mayor Katrina Thompson and her staff come in. She meets with all of the department heads, particularly myself, the building department. What are some of the concerns you have? What are some of the projects that you'd like to see come to fruition? And one of the conversation was the senior housing project. Did she ask me, did I know anything about it? I did not. And she said that, what do you think we need to do? And I said, I don't know what the process is, but we need to find out. So at that particular time, she sent myself and Director Ames to Washington, D.C. to a federal conference that had developers, grant writers, and other professionals who would provide funding and who had experience in dealing with government entities in terms of building senior housing facilities. We came back, shared that information with Mayor Thompson. I actually gave a presentation at the board too, I believe, at that time. And then we started calling all of the developers that we met in Washington, D.C. to sit down to talk about the process, to talk about what we wanted to see in the village of Broadview, to give them a tour of the village of Broadview. So I did that from Michael's organization to Ross Financial to Collier's to the Dominion Group to the Salvador Group. Each one submitted a proposal, and we got it down to 3 groups, 3 developers, and we ended up selecting Ross Financial. I started working with Jim Walgers, and that was in 2018, I believe. And at that time, we gave him a tour of the village of Broadview, and he proceeded to tell us what the process was. And it was a lengthy process. And he proceeded to talk about everything that was needed, and that it would take at least a year to 2 years, and that no municipality that he is aware of, for the most part, or very few municipalities, are granted any type of assistance the first time they submit their applications, because it's based on points. And I've got a list of everything that needs to be submitted. But the initial conversation, he said, and even just to get into the game, is that we had to provide a preliminary project assessment to the state of Illinois. So that's the general overview of your project, your location. What do you think it's going to cost? Are you going to have senior housing, veterans housing, combination of both? You had to do a market study. So we put that together and we submitted that to the state back in, I think, October of 2018. The state came back to Jim Walgars and said, hey, we're interested and we think it would be a great project for the community based on the Proviso Township and the limited senior housing that is in that area. So we're like, great. So now what's the next step? He provided me with a list of about 75 items that we needed to put together. So then at that point, I knew that it was going to take a year or more. I met with the safety committee. I spoke to the mayor, and we created a development agreement that was presented to the board. The board reviewed it, it was approved, and then we started to proceed on. And he gave me a list of things that needed, like what zoning issues, what are the lands, what is the village-owned land, what are some not village-owned property that may be included, what are the locations, do we have to do a phase 1 environmental, we have to do a full market study, we got to do appraisals, we got to fill out grants for ComEd, People's Gas. So it's just a list of things that we needed to do. And so we started to put that package together, and then we pretty much completed that package. That's the zoning and everything. It was over 300 pages, and that was submitted before the end of 2019. I'm sorry, 2018. And then in the spring of 2019, the village of Broadview was awarded over $1.5 million tax credits by the state of Illinois, the Illinois Housing Development Authority. That was wonderful news. That means that we could now fund the project. It would not cost the village practically anything. There may be some ancillary costs, but we wouldn't be spending $20 million to do a project. Most municipalities don't have $20 million to do a project. That being said, so now we're ready to move forward with the project. The information that, the disinformation that I was hearing or have heard was that the village gave the land away and they no longer own the land. That is incorrect. The village owns the land. I repeat, the village owns the land. Kevin McGreer has all of the documents that can be FOIA'd if you have an interest. I think it was in September of 2019, I want to say, where the village board reviewed all of the documents, the development agreement, the lease agreement, the ground lease agreement, and it was approved. In that document, it talks about the landlord, and it defines the landlord as the owner of the property. It says that the landlord is the village of Broadview, and the tenants is going to be, I think, Broadview LP. Broadview LP consists of the developer. It consists of a nonprofit entity, because with the senior housing facility, we're going to have wraparound services for those seniors who are in need. And it consists of the investors who purchase the tax credits. So the credits are turned into cash, money, for the purpose of this project. That being said, here we are today. We are about maybe 40% done with the project. And I anticipate that it's going to be a great project. And any questions that anyone may have at this time, Mayor, whether it be the snow removal, the 50-50 program, the park district, or the senior housing, I will entertain at this time.
You're on mute.
Who?
No.
Oh.
Mayor Thompson.
Thank you. Sorry about that. There's some stuff going on in the outside. Trustee Horn?
Yeah, I say one thing. I said initially when the whole senior housing project came about and we got all the presentations and everything like that, the one statement that I made consistently was that it was a messy relationship. And I'm going to go on record saying that while we can communicate based on some flawed logic within all those documents, that we're the owners of the land. I'm familiar with contracts like this. I understand the financials behind it, and we are not the owners of the land. There's a difference between being an owner of a structure on top and being an owner of the land that the structure sits on top of. With that being said, thank you for your explanation, Commissioner Upshaw. I appreciate it.
And
And if anybody got questions related to, if anybody has questions about the senior housing and why I voted no to it, I'll be happy to break it down to you and give you all the details related to it. Thank you.
And I appreciate that, Trustee Horn. I am not interested in logic. I'm interested in a legal document that was signed that you all, anyone who is listening, as well as the trustees, I'll be glad to show you that we do own the land. And that is the key.
But
do not.
I mean, I think.
Okay,
if I may finish, Trustee Horn.
I'm listening. I didn't say anything.
We do own the land. I am not going to debate it with you or any other trustee on it. It is in the documents that have been signed and approved by the board. So you can check with Trustee Krevin McGreer. You can FOIA that information, or you are more than welcome to come see with me. I have the documents. I got all 500 pages of it, and I can show you.
So do I. And I read through all 500 pages of it, and there's a specific reason why logic should exist. A 500-page document full of legal terms and legalities, once executed, gives leeway to a whole bunch of things. Either way it goes, I know that that's what you're going to communicate, and that's your understanding of it. So be it. Thanks again.
So thank you for the conversation. I'm going to ask the attorney who practiced law in this to chime in on that conversation. Mr. Vasali, can you chime in and kind of inform us on the ownership?
Yes, absolutely, Mayor. Thank you. While our firm was not the primary attorney on this, I did work on some of the aspects of this relative specifically to some of the lease terms. And the village does remain the owner of the property. It's unequivocal, and it is plainly stated in the agreement. I don't know much more to say, Mayor, because it's kind of a binary thing. We do own it. Statements to the fact that we don't own it are incorrect. I think it's honestly just that simple.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney?
I'm glad Dave kept it short. I'm just kidding. This information has to get out there, and it has to get out there in a correct manner. People have certain agendas, and we just got to get past that, and that's enough. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Trustee Senior?
I'm glad that the truth is being revealed.
Thank you. Trustee Abraham?
Again, Madam Mayor, I'm grateful that our building commissioner, Mr. Upshaw, came on to give us the updates, to talk about the legalities and to talk about the groundbreaking, but most importantly, talked about the history, how far back it was being discussed. And then when you came into office, what things we had to do to really start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I think that cleared up a lot of the comments that was being circulated out in the public, to kind of get a timeline here to show what was actually being done. So the truth is out there. The timelines are there. So that's all I have to say. And I want to thank and again, Commissioner Upshaw, thank you for coming on and clearing that up. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Miller?
Yeah, Dave, you actually failed at holding up being short, because that wasn't a short dissertation at all. It was actually quite lengthy, but I get, sometimes why we need to prolong conversations and wait or have a discussion so that the entire public can hear it. Truthfully, I do believe that the senior housing project is a great idea. I'm not completely sure that everyone is being heard or everything is being expressed in the ways that we need to express it. I don't have a problem with sitting with Trustee Horn and going over the documents again and seeing maybe where it's off at for her. If maybe the disconnect is property versus land, there is a huge difference in that. So I want to go over them with you and talk. And then I'm also going to meet with Director Upshaw. I'll schedule some time with you to discuss that too, because that is major. And people drive through our community every day and stuff comes along and, it's published in papers and things happen before we even have discussions. I guarantee that tonight's meeting will already be published before we even get to share it with our family and friends as well. So while that's not an issue, let's be clear that it's not, it's still, certain things happen in the middle of the night that none of us have control over. As far as the intergovernmental agreements and sharing resources, Director Upshaw kind of chimed in the same as Director Ames. I don't think any of us have any issues with that. I don't care who shovels the snow as long as we're doing it correctly and not tearing up any infrastructure, or, you know, invading anyone else's privacy or their home either. Because truthfully, if you throw snow on my yard, and it affects, because I have the flood control valve from the 50/50 program. They had it when I purchased my home. And if, you know, I'm cleaning off my flood control valve and you're coming and throwing snow back on it, that's going to be a problem for me within my own home. And hopefully my neighbor and I, which I didn't have that issue, but hopefully as neighbors, we can work that out and it doesn't have to be brought back to a board or have a discussion there. But I just want us all to just stay open to having conversations and communication. And, you know, I believe that the mayor does a good job at bringing information to us so that we can review it. But we're not the legal
What
experts.
needs to be brought in? I'm on mute.
You're not on mute. What we can do is just agree sometimes that we're going to disagree and just try to keep the community's best interests at heart. So with that being said, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Trustee Miller. Mr. Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. Next item on the agenda is item 10, Village Clerk. And Madam President, I really didn't have anything to say at first, but if you don't mind, I do apologize in advance to you and the board, but I must comment on two things shortly. Number one, regarding the commissioner's report and presentation, with these contracts and long stacks of paperwork that have to be reviewed, sitting on the board for 8 years in that position, it's not always easy to understand. And interpretation is one of the major issues that we may have. It's very unfortunate that we have at least one board member currently sitting that refuses to sit down with others and understand what actually is. And to do that and not get the truth and then pass it to the public, misinformation is what tears communities apart. And I believe that the information is there. It's plain to see. It's easy to read. And it's unfortunate that this type of thing happens. So I urge all board members, if you have questions, go to the proper departments or those that may know and can share insight on what may not be interpreted properly. Any resident, again, as Commissioner Upshaw mentioned, can FOIA that information through the clerk's office. I'm happy to provide those copies. And as long as it's below the threshold of free, there will be no charge for that. Secondly, going to the Public Works presentation. Again, having served on the board as the chairman for Street Sidewalks and Alleys for 8 years, I communicated with Director Ames every day, sometimes twice a day, on the operations and needs for the Public Works Department. And we fought hard to get equipment upgrades, the necessary things to properly take care of the streets, clear the streets, including proper planning like rubber and plastic blades as opposed to the metal blades that would tear up the asphalt. That Trackless machine, we went through several machines and presentations before we decided on that. And that machine is only able to handle a certain load. With the heavy snowfalls and the wet snow, that machine was not capable of clearing the entire Broadview property. So that is probably the main reason that you have not seen that machine out. I get questions and complaints from the residents on a daily basis during the snowfall. So long story short, the machine was inoperational due to heavy snowfalls and not able to handle the load. Lastly, I want to end with, we've recently had a voter registration here at Broadview Village Hall this past Saturday. Voter registration is open still, and you can contact the clerk's office any day, Monday through Friday, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to register to vote. If you leave a message after hours, I will gladly contact you back, even if it's after hours to meet your convenience, to make sure you get registered to vote if you need to vote. We can do it on Saturday as well. Again, our number here is 708-681-3600. I am at extension 271. Please contact me if you need to register to vote. Madam President. Next item is Item 11, Village President, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I'm glad that we got some clarity on some misinformation that's out in the public. We thrive ourselves on being transparent. That's why we stream our videos live, and we connect with the residents via email if we need to get resources out to the community and on our social media. So I do appreciate the conversation and the feedback that took place tonight. But today is the first day of Women History Month. And in honor of Women History, we note the invaluable contributions of women in our country's history and ideas. Without sacrifices, bravery, and leadership of women, progress is not possible, nor is it rooted in justice. Yet the pandemic has amplified the need to address gender disparities, from long-standing gender pay gap to heightened economic impacts on women, particularly those of color and low moderate income. Tonight, I want to salute the women in leadership for the Village of Broadview, Administrator Letisa Jones, the first woman in the village to serve in that position, and Chief Tracy Kinney, the first woman to serve as Fire Chief in the Village of Broadview. I thank you for your sacrifice and your leadership. It's truly a blessing working alongside the both of you. And today was the first day of school for Lindop, so we welcomed the students back to Lindop School. It was about 150 students that are in class, and the rest are still doing e-learning. So let's just keep the school up in prayer as we go through this cycle, praying for health and wellness for the staff and the children that attend Lindop School. It was a beautiful ceremony that they did this morning. Even in a pandemic, it was like the first day of school to see the kids smiling with a mask on. You can literally see their faces smiling, and you hearing them talk about, I miss my friends, and they got on their new gym shoes. It was like the first day of school, but it's in March, and it's been a whole year since they have not been in the classroom. So for many of the students, especially those that's in pre-K, this was their first time ever being in the classroom. So it's been different because they've been doing e-learning. And this was their first day of being in a classroom, not like in a traditional school. So we just hope that during this process that it can keep growing and more people start feeling comfortable. But as we go into getting vaccinated, we will be able to open up. The weather has been really nice the last couple of days. A lot of people have been out, but people are in isolation, and isolation causes depression. So we just really want to make sure that we stay connected to the resources to give people the help that they need. In COVID cases, so far since the pandemic has started, we've had 846 confirmed cases as of today. As of last week, we had no new cases reported for the Village of Broadview. So we're doing the right thing. And I'm happy to see, I was happy to see that number at 0, because usually there's a couple of, 12 or 14, but as of last week, we had no new cases. And I don't know what it's gonna bring next week, but last week we had no new cases in the Village of Broadview. We have partnered with the Loretta Hospital to get seniors ages 65 and over and those essential workers to get vaccinated. If you would like to get vaccinated, call my office 708-681-3600 to be put on the list to get vaccinated. Starting on March 10th, FEMA is going to come to the United Center, and the intent is to vaccinate at least 6,000 people per day. So the more people we get vaccinated, the closer we get to ending the pandemic. But we're still in the pandemic, so we still must wear our face masks. We must continue to practice social distancing and washing our hands. I'm just proud of the employees that work in the Village of Broadview, even in the pandemic. Everybody, saying they can't do this because of the pandemic, they can't do certain things, but in the Village of Broadview, we never stopped. Even in the pandemic, our census numbers went up. We hosted multiple community events to keep the community connected. And when you talk to the seniors, they are happy to be able to come out in a social distance, wearing a mask, because they feel safe. And we've been able to provide that so that they can maintain their mental health. As you age, you're lonely, you can't be around your family. That's hard for a senior in a community. And I just want to commend and thank all of the trustees that's been out the events where the seniors have been at, to see them being out in a pandemic, and they continue to come out in the pandemic. So we want to get everybody vaccinated. If you have not been vaccinated and you want to be vaccinated, get on the list. We sent out a list. School District 89 had last week, or maybe the week before, they had put out a call to vaccinate 1,000 people. And we were included in that list because we service we have children that participate in District 89. And I know quite a few Broadview residents was able to get vaccinated last Thursday because of that. And the seniors, we've vaccinated over 100 seniors so far through the Little Loretta Hospital. So we continue to do the work. And, you know, our focus is making sure that we're safe, we're healthy, and that we all fight this pandemic together and do so. I just want to say, you know, first, we just came out of Black History Month, and I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black mother and a Black daughter. And I got a text message from someone that said a sitting trustee don't want to hear about June 13th, but it's Juneteenth, which is June 19th. And Kwanzaa, Black Lives Matter, being a strong community. And I'm not sure if Trustee Horn knows that the village of Broadview is 74% Black. And also needs to know that civil rights is the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. Trustee Horn, your civil rights has not been violated by me or anyone on this board. So at this time, I will call for a motion to adjourn. Have a good night and God bless you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, second.
Been properly motion by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Senior. Madam President, I'll take roll call now. You have Trustee Horn. Trustee Horn has left the building. Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Senior.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And Madam President, carries 4-0 to adjourn the meeting at 9:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.